Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another sizzling episode of Navigating Life with Viewer. But today, obviously, as we always do, we talk about the finances. We need finances. I need as much money as possible so that I can spoil the important people in my life, so that I can buy myself good things, so that I can have a bright future and a soft life. In studio today, we have an expert, and with this aspect, is just not me alone. I'm with Unoluntu. Hello, Unoluntu.
Hello,
How
navigators.
are you doing?
I am blessed.
Thank you for being here with us. And we have a lady that speaks with so much perspicacity. Her name is Zizo Jela. Tell us more about yourselves, ma'am. Welcome.
Thank
Welcome,
you so much.
Zizo.
Navigating Life. Popo popo.
I love it. I love the idea of navigating life. I think life is all about navigation.
Oh, yeah?
And I like the financial expertness of it. Yes, I'm owning it.
Of course. Yeah.
So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I'm overwhelmed with gratitude and just beyond humbled. So, igama lami, like you've said, Zizo Jela, I am a financial wellness expert. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
And I specialize mainly in legacy creation, wealth creation, estate planning. So those are my specialities. But generally, anything to do with the financial well-being of a person is something that I am fond of.
Yeah. Wealth creation. Let's talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that. I think all of them speak to us and our needs financially. Wealth creation. It's a very broad subject. What are the gates or the gateways to wealth creation?
Okay. So when it comes to wealth creation, wealth
Right.
generation, wealth
Sure.
preservation, it really stems from the idea that you want a life bigger than what you currently have. Or if you were not able to amass certain things or experiences up to this far based on, this is how I grew up, and then you start having children, I want better for my kids than what I had. So it's got to have like it's got long-term connotations.
Right.
So as soon as you talk about wealth, you have to think long-term, right?
Like my
You have to-
children's children.
100%.
Generational.
100%. So it goes from just for you, because sometimes you want to create wealth, but the reality is that you might not be able to partake in that wealth as yet. So then the soft life notion is to say, well, then how do I balance? I don't want to be so future minded that I am so anxious about the present and I can't spoil myself and I can't do all of this, because ultimately most of us have got just one pool of finances. Most South Africans, it's just one salary. So how do we do and balance all of this within this one kitty?
Yeah. So Noluntu, I've always heard this joke. Maybe I might be paraphrasing that
Okay.
I'm not here to live long, but I'm here to live fully.
Yes.
So sometimes when you've got that stash of cash or that payment, that huge lump sum payment or bonus payment, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Like, when I saw Zizo. Okay. I just thought, it is a safa, because some of us don't even, we want the wealth, ne? But
Right.
we don't have the discipline.
Yeah.
Because when that lonesome amount comes into my bank account,
Yeah.
first of all, navigators, ndiqale ndingabazi
What's
nabaziro.
nabangani bakho?
Abaziro, ndiqale ndingabazi babangaphi.
Yeah.
Masiqale apho.
Yeah.
Secondly, ndifuna omnye umasipala andimfuni lo.
Yeah.
Because I want to spend, I want to burn a hole. Honestly, ke, such platforms like now, we hope to teach the navigators that
Yeah.
once ingenela mali, don't take the next flight to Cape Town.
Yeah.
Don't take the next flight to
Somewhere
Joburg. Little Milan, guys, for a trip to Italy.
Right.
So for me,
Rome.
I want to do Rome again. I
Yeah.
want to do Florence.
Yeah.
It's such
Venice.
things. Yes, I want to go in the gondolas. It's such things where then you have to have the discipline.
You have to have the discipline, Zizo. Now, how do we actually, entrench that discipline? Because I'm thinking it excites us, money excites us.
Oh, guys, it
What
does.
could be the reason for that? Is it because we're not born in a world of abundance, even though we're born, in upper middle class families, but we don't have that proclivity to stash of cash, where there's a lap of luxury. You just have enough to take care of everyone, but we don't have an excess and oversupply. All right. Now, how can we discipline ourselves to say, when I get money, this should be my default reaction, instead of Paris, the Seychelles, and champagnes popping, the pink champagnes, Moet, and everything else that goes.
Wave.
Clothes.
Expensive clothes.
yeah?
I want to
Yes.
designer
Yes,
clothing.
designer clothes.
Italian,
brand,
let's be
everything must be
specific.
branded.
Yeah.
Fancy cars, moving to, more
A better
expensive
neighborhood.
neighborhoods. So how can we,
Nip it.
Yeah.
Stop it in its tracks, so to speak.
Let's hear about it all.
So, any willingness to become better than what you currently are requires intentionality.
Right.
First and
Okay.
foremost.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding your psychology. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term financial behavior, behavioral finance, basically. That it is our behaviors that drive our spending patterns, and it's
So
the
siyakubhapha
psychology.
kahle.
Ukubona. And also sometimes, like indlela esikhule ngayo has got an amazing impact in our instinct nature to say,
Right.
actually, you know what, like ekhaya sihleke sometimes that my dad extremely astute, when it comes to finances. Like
Okay. All right.
beyond almost. So with anything, sometimes if you've experienced extreme poverty,
Yeah.
you might be a little extreme in your financial astuteness, in the sense
Yes.
where now you miss out on the soft life. Like we gotta live, Dad.
Yes.
So that constant balance. So islangu, I mean, no sastenga once in 6 months. Kwakufanele la nto sonke
Funeka
isihlalo sitya
siqhaqheke okanye siphele.
ipapa. Like you had to be almost barefoot, like your foot had to be touching the
basically,
ground.
you can't have financial discipline without the label of being stingy. What's the other term?
Miser,
Miser, frugal. And basically you have to be tight-fisted in a way. So how do you strike the balance where you are generous, but at the same time, as much as you are generous, you do not open perennially the tap that actually, flushes out cash, while shutting the one that is an inflow of cash. So how do you strike that balance? Live within your means, basically.
I think one of the most important things is to have, or in fact the skill is to have systems in place,
Yeah.
right? If you sit with 100,000 Rand in your checking account, or you have loads of uncommitted monies,
Yes.
the likelihood is that you are prone to overspending, right?
All right.
So if you've got a system in place and you've got pockets for your finances to say, okay, actually, this is my goal. This year, I want to have paid off my credit card. This is how much my credit card is. This is what it's going to take for me to have closed it by December.
Yeah.
You take that commitment, you put it aside. So you don't have all this floating money. So that by the time usiti awuna mali, awunayo nyani, uyabo? Because then it's hard to go to Paris on a whim. There's nothing wrong with going to Paris. There's something not right going to Paris that you haven't budgeted for. And yet there's other things that are still waiting, requiring the same money. So have a system in place, have a plan in place, have short-term, medium, long-term financial goals.
Okay.
So mangabikho ngathi everything wena is an emergency.
So it must be that structured.
It must be a structure. You must have, so I mean, you can have a soft life within your means, right? So you could go to Rome on the salary that you're earning if you plan for it. So you say in the next 3 years or in 2 years' time, I want to go to Rome and I actually want to stay at the 5-star resorts. How much is that going to cost me? What is that going to take? And then the systems you put in place sometimes help with retaining the discipline, because now you literally remove the money from your transactional
patience.
account. And the
Because sometimes
patience.
Because I
want
was
these
about
things
to
to
say,
happen now.
I'm to instant gratification.
This is the problem.
So what she now is saying is plan, long term. What if this on the offending plan?
But this
Yes.
is the thing with life. This
We're
is the
not
thing.
here to live long. We're here to live fully.
But what what if, so this is one of my things where I'm like, oftentimes Nyani clients will say that, like, yeah, but what if I don't get to make it to the 2 years? What if you do? And oftentimes, most
What if it
people on
works out?
average make it to that 2 years. So what if you do? What if you do get to retirement age and you haven't saved for retirement?
My
So
goodness.
sometimes the question is, yeah, but what if I'm, what about the other what if?
Yo, guys,
Yeah.
no, you can get this cheaper at. Why when you take a grocery always? What? I'm just making an example, right?
Yeah.
Why don't grocery words? Why don't you think of buying it at Pick and Pay
Because detergents are more
yes.
affordable in that store. So you have to have the price tags for each store.
And remember, when
department.
we shop or when we splurge and we spend money, there is a psychological effect that says, I am now soothing me. I feel good.
You
don't
know another thing that suits you, hitting your financial goals. So that's another big win. So if
Yeah.
you say by June, I want to have closed this off, and you work towards that, I don't think anyone has built a beautiful life based on comfort. So if we're always wanting to feel that, you know, I want to just get the lamb off rack. I don't cook much, so I
Okay, I
terms.
cook.
But today I want la fish, yes, a Woolworths, 2,000 rand. Meantime, you are on the 19th of the month. You only get paid, so you want to use your last coins. Then it doesn't
So-
make sense.
So there's this thing going about that, you know, I'm that kind of girl or boy who goes to a restaurant and I know very well that I've got 500 rands in my pocket and I pay for a meal that costs 498 rand and then I walk away
Feeling
with
good.
2 rand in my bank account because I have satisfied my cravings, I have satisfied my sense of accomplishment. So we end up being a society that lives from hand to mouth.
Yes.
So it takes a whole lot of discipline because I'm thinking there's a whole lot of science to it.
Yeah.
Now, you've got short-term goals, medium-term goals,
And the
long-term
long-term.
goals, right? You have to be that scientific and structured,
100%.
right? And then we've got something that we call Kganyago and Ramaphosa's economy. We have run out of creativity to outmaneuver it. Yesterday, I had to fill up my fuel tank,
guys.
Oh my
and I was very upset because traditionally it was supposed to be 2 cars. You know, that amount of money went into 1 car, and it has a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Now, your money gets chowed by basics. So what does this mean in this economy if things are to stay the same and the salary staying the same, right? It means we have to cut down on certain things. What does it mean for us? How can we out-budget or outmaneuver this expensive economy with the Trumps of this world reigning supreme and making decisions that are costly to an ordinary citizen's pocket?
Yeah, no, look, it's getting tough. But this is not the first time that life has been tough. You
Right.
look back, I mean, people lost their jobs during COVID.
Right.
You know, you look back, there's been a financial crisis in one form or the other. So this is not the first time it's
There was
happening.
Russia and Ukraine.
There was Russia and
Yeah.
Ukraine. There's just, you know, now there's Hunter virus or whatever this thing is. So there's always going to
Never
be
gets better.
an
Yeah.
enemy to progress. There's always going to be a pivot that's needed in how we do things.
Correct.
Right?
Okay.
So when a season like this, when we're in a financial climate like this, it just needs a bit more creativity.
I
So
see.
this is where you then adjust your portfolio, your goals, you lose the rigidness. So if and as fine singabantu. So truly, I was ufe depression, and yet what heals you is that 498 stake when you've only got 500 in your account.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of understanding yourself without compromising your future. Because when we talk about these things, we need to live as though, what if I do make it to tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right? And how does my tomorrow look? So what if I do make it tomorrow and I had this lost 1,000 rand in my account? I wake up and I've got a flat tire or something like an emergency that I didn't budget for.
Yeah.
What then? Would I still remember the healing feeling I got yesterday when I blew it?
Yeah.
I literally blew the last 500 rand in my account.
Yeah.
Or must I put little tricks in place to say, okay, Zizo, I know you are itching for, I don't know, another handbag, because the time isn't we different in that way.
Yeah.
So I'm itching for another handbag, but maybe let me try and see if I can't survive this week. You know, okay, I made it to Sunday. I didn't get this handbag. Let me see if I can make it to Wednesday.
Right.
Before you know it, you've now made it to the end of the month with that last 1,000 rand that was carrying you. So you've got to be creative, because unfortunately, no one's going to come and yank you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's a vukuzenzele economy, you know.
Each man for himself.
Each
So
man
know
for
what
himself.
works for you.
You know,
Yeah.
100%, 100%.
I was just thinking, right? For our navigators, as a single parent, one income household, there's children involved, and you only have one paycheck, and you actually want to make this stretch. You also want to ensure that there's legacy money for
Right.
something left for your kids. What tricks would we have?
So one of the tricks that I've started using, and it works, it was to sit down with my child. I'm a single mom myself. And so, like, with just one child though, thank goodness.
Aren't you lucky? There's a difference.
What do
when
you
have
mean, just
child.
one child? Thank goodness. I've got two kids.
No, where to, guys? Where
look,
to
just
know,
got-
Zizo, let me tell
Yeah.
you this. Be grateful. Okay, bantwana bami niyanibetha. Be grateful. But when you have one child and you have two children, there's a huge difference. And
can
yes,
believe
basiyilahla phi ku-3. Yay!
I
Oh, well,
can believe
Zizo, there you have
it. So one of the
Yeah.
things that I've incorporated that works is to bring him into, or school him nice and early, because honestly, children are just a money vacuum. Like
Yeah.
They are.
everything I want, which is what some adults never get to outgrow. To say, abuko ubomi, where you will get everything you want, when you want it, how you
Yeah.
want it, in the quantity that you want it.
Yeah.
And this is what separates a parent from a
Yeah,
child.
hard
to
facts.
say,
Yeah.
it would be nice to get McDonald's every day, but is this good for you? Is it healthy for you? Is
Yeah.
it good for me? Is it healthy for me? Is all these questions. So
Yeah.
you bring him into the conversation now, obviously in a language they'll understand, to say, okay, I know you like your pie every day. You like to have pie in your lunch tin every day. This is how much a pie costs us every day, 50 Rand.
Right.
I know you also like McDonald's. McDonald's now takes 350 Rands. So this week, would you rather have a pie for 3 days straight, or would you rather us save up for that McDonald's on a Friday? Here's your 50 Rand that we would have spent on a pie. Now we're putting it away. So we go back to old school, where you've got money tanks, where he sees it
Piggy bank.
rising and rising
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
rising. Another thing that I do is I sometimes transfer money into his youth transaction account. And when we've been good that week, then I show him the balance. Can you see it's gone up? Yes, mom, it's gone up. So you bring
Oh,
them
that's-
into that realistic conversation
Yeah,
to
yeah,
say,
yeah.
it's your choice.
That's
But if
drilling.
I get you this Adidas,
That's training.
then we're not going to go anywhere next week. And I know you mentioned you wanted to go to Amber's birthday next week.
Yeah.
Which one is it going to be? Then you make it their choice. Okay, let's go with that and hold them to that.
I think we also fall into the trap of not learning to say no to our kids.
Yes.
We want to come as heroes that can do anything and
We
everything.
compensate
They're
at some
looking
point.
for
Thing.
yeah. They're looking for this. You get it for them. They want to go to this school. You enroll them into that school, and then meanwhile you are not doing justice to your own other aspects of life. So sometimes even the institutions themselves have a tendency to do that. If I give them my payslip, or I give them my 6 months bank statement, all of a sudden I qualify to move to a house worth 3.5 million. And I've always said, okay, what's 1% of that? That's 35,000. There's no way in hell I can afford 35,000. So why is it that these numbers are computing to what you can barely afford? It's tempting to say I qualify for 3.5 million, while in truth, with all my other obligations considered, I actually qualify for much lesser.
Yeah.
But how can we navigate around chasing away that excitement. You know, the numbers themselves. They say numbers don't lie, but I think numbers sometimes do lie.
Oh, they lie.
Yeah.
There's something called creative accounting.
Creative.
yes.
where,
You see now.
where
yeah.
you make the numbers look like what they need to look like in order to get what you need to get.
Dude, you're telling me.
And so if we were to get to a point as society to understand that everyone is in business, I don't
Right.
know of any financial institution that will call you up to save you money in its truest sense.
Right.
Okay.
Seldom does that happen. Everyone wants you buying. You know, we want you to buy. We want you to buy.
The offers you qualify for 350,000. You're like, what?
Right? You're like, from where? Like, what numbers are these people looking at, you know? But it's very important
Yeah.
to remain grounded. You know,
Okay.
that saying no to your children when they're young,
Yeah.
you grow up with that, and it teaches you that there needs to be boundaries and limits to life. So
Okay.
you're not this little vulture person that's just falling for every little fad. So in your analogy of buying a property, and you don't wake up today and decide you want to buy a property today.
Right.
It
Correct.
comes back to the planning that we've put
Yeah.
in place to say, you know what?
Correct.
In 5 years' time, this is how I would like for my life to look.
Ah.
And remember, our life has got now these various components, and we're not driven by the same things. Someone else is willing to forego the 3.5 million rand house for an experience in Italy that might cost similar. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be in Italy and I want to live lavish. I want to go to where they make the finest wine or whatever. So we're not driven by the same things.
We
So
don't.
if you are a car person, chances are when you drive on the road, that itch, because remember, as soon as you
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
something, then it loses its excitement.
Ufuni last number.
Yes.
So our if as human beings we would learn to curb our
Enthusiasm.
our
Sounds like
enthusiasm,
a pay light. Pay off light.
curb your enthusiasm, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
shall
yeah.
be wealthy.
Yeah.
But honestly, and I think then this is where an accountability partner then comes into play, to say someone who's holding your hand or someone you can be vulnerable to
Yeah.
and be able to disclose, to say, oh, you know what, I know I just got my car a year ago, but I'm itching. I've always wanted this one. You need someone who's going to say, hey, remember, you had said when you're 6 months into your goals, you had said this. So it's much like, we like to think of financial planning as this mystical taboo, because remember, we didn't grow up talking about money in our household. So it's always this thing where it's like, oh, you know, if they find out how much I earn, they're going to start putting together the numbers. Hang on. But how are you driving this? How are you living there? How you know? So there's a lot of, statistically, in fact, there's a study that was shown to say that there's two emotions that drive money, or our money behaviors: fear and greed.
Really?
Those are the only two. Literally, fear and greed, right? And that informs how we then show up. Where as soon as money hits our accounts, it's these two
Fear
two
and greed.
emotions, right? Either you're fearful of not looking your prettiest, you're gonna go and buy the latest Mac.
Yeah.
Like, you must go into most ladies' bathrooms. You've got like 10 concealers. You've got like
Yes.
10 shades of brown, and you're like, do I really? Now 6 months down the line, we get told you need to throw these things away because they expire. But every time you walk into the mall, you're like, this shade of pink, I
I want this.
I can't go without it.
yeah, I want this shade of pink.
Ungalali. Guys, I don't know navigators
Literally.
money. Like, I don't sleep until I have it. Okay, I get so obsessive.
And
I get so obsessive. And ututhetha bengqoma,
Yeah.
that bag. And for me, it's bags and shoes.
yeah.
Like that bag.
And mind you, you'll have like a good 5 bags that you haven't used in the last 3 years.
There are bags I haven't used in more than 5 years.
At
And
all.
Kazi Kucho, I'm like, oh, I've got this bag.
Yeah.
Oh my Yes.
So it's not true that a lady can never have enough.
No, but
bags.
you can never have enough bags. And the thing is,
Well,
some bags.
Well, if you don't use them.
This is the thing.
No, but they for certain occasions. I can't carry a Chanel bag everywhere. It's
Yeah.
got its own occasion. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's leave it. It's for my kids.
It's a lifestyle thing. Look, lifestyle. Look, at the end of the day, when we look good, we feel good. So
It's
we
true.
can't put that out of the equation. But maybe we need to be smart about it and have the right approach so that we don't put our eggs in one basket. We
100%.
cannot have the bulk portion of our money going into, one aspect of our lives. Now, what's right and what's wrong? You've got these traditional financial institutions that have been creating a lot of wealth out of our,
Our day-to-day
accounts
money.
and stuff like that, and the services that we had been buying from them. You've got your unit trusts, you've got your stocks, you've got now people have decided to disrupt, this traditional business, which is governed by, your phase, those FSB institutions. Now you've got your AAA marketings, and you've got your. I remember there was this what you call this not scams per se, but pyramid schemes,
Yes.
right? People have found creating ways, Stockfells, they've found ways of building little by little for themselves and moving away from your traditional approach to financing. You've got Abo Mashonisa, So this is an unregulated space, so to speak. So what is your opinion on that? I can imagine, as somebody who is trading above board, you are also aware of people that are trying to
Today,
steal
client according to
your money.
Marshall's.
Yes.
So, I mean, you mentioned a keyword, the unregulated one, right? The second one was people are getting creative and they're disrupting the norm of approaching finances. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't believe, I'm a rebel without a cause. I often refer to myself until you give me a cause.
Okay.
So I'm a fan for disruption, right? But it's a matter of understanding the pros and cons. If I choose to stick to the traditional via your Allen Greys, your Glacier platforms, your Signias, I mean, there's a whole host of investment managers, right? So that's your traditional way of doing things. It's been tried and it's been tested. You look at a fund that's performing. You look at the goal. There's people employed to oversee the performance of this fund.
Right.
So the risk there is mitigated somewhat, right? Now, with the disruptions, your cryptocurrencies, your Stockfells, your pyramid schemes, your triple M, because it's unregulated, there's very little oversight in them, right? So to say there's a preference, it might work for someone else, it might not work for someone else.
Okay.
Again, then it comes down to you. In the crypto space, you never know what a crypto is going to do. Is it going to bomb out? Because it's new, it's exciting, it's, so where do you draw the line with your risk appetite, right? And so then it comes down to this thing when I'm away to where you're like, I can't mimic a portfolio ka Nolonto because I might not have the same risk appetite or affinity that she might have. So now she can go take 100,000, put it in crypto, it drops because Trump went and put in tariff changes. Oh yeah, also it does. I put 100,000 rand today. By tomorrow, it's 86.2 thousand rand, or it's gone down to 50,000.
Yeah.
No, Lundiana might not flinch because she's looking at the long term.
Yeah.
Someone else might be, you telling me I put 100,000. Tomorrow
crashed.
it's 95,000.
Oh, guys.
They are dying.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
cannot employ the same strategies, right? We need to understand ourselves. We need to, again, speak to someone like me. Hello.
That's why we have her on studio.
Speak to someone and just understand your options. First of all, it costs money to make money. So a lot of times people will say, no, but what about the fees? There's fees in everything, right? Those people who are overseeing your fund, they need to be paid because they're doing a job. The institution that's holding your money needs to be paid. So there's a cost aligned to everything. Okay. If you understand the cost, then the value that comes with that might then make sense to you. Yeah. So it's about having these open and honest conversations. Yeah. So you're not running your portfolio on cryptocurrency, on stock. When your entire portfolio, your own is made up of high risk.
Yeah.
what are you doing to plan for the short term? So if the market dips next year, you still need to pay school fees with that money. What are you doing to balance out your portfolio? So I think I support creative strategies. People must do what they need to do, to what they feel they need to do to get to where they want to go to. It might work this season, it might not work the next season. So honestly, financial planning, like anything, needs flexibility, needs creativity. We can't just keep running with the old.
I want to come in the most uncomfortable, those uncomfortable discussions for if I were not to be around. Right.
We have to face
yes, we have to face that. Recently, I was taking out a policy, and and this guy had all these uncomfortable questions, and I'm thinking, why am I even doing this? And I'm like, okay, there's 4 people that I'm responsible for, so in the eventuality that I'm not there, life should continue for them. And then they ask, okay, so how are we breaking this money? So then I have to say, no, give this one a certain percentage, this one a certain percentage, this one a certain percentage. And you do feel guilty as a mamba. Must I understand why because I won't be there for Baba and face. Now, I am looking at a single mom or a single dad who now has to start that planning, who now has to consider, or even if a married couple, who now have to consider that, okay, financially, what do we need to do in the now to ensure that when we are not there, sure, Saitata life cover, sure, Zizo 18, but what other strategies can we employ so that when we are not here, one, our kids are financially okay. Secondly, there are no relatives. There are no relatives. Because I have got scenarios where when the parents were gone, the relatives came in and dictated for the kids, and they put them out of their home. Sad things like that. So in the eventuality of those things, financially, on a financial standpoint, what would be your advice?
So again, 2 things in life that are certain: death and taxes. Death is coming. We don't know when it's coming, in what form it's coming. Death is a part of being alive, right? And so even when we approach, again, so the need for life insurances is then you're not born from fear. I don't want to leave my children unattended to and uncatered to, and all of that. You want to live a legacy. 100%. So
legacy is money.
100%. Legacy is money. So financial planning. So I often say financial planning literally must be driven by the goals, because then the goals inform the strategy, and the strategy informs the solution. So a life cover must be a solution to something. What problem are we trying to solve here? So if I need to leave my children with a legacy, what does that look like? What is the current standard of living? Because now remember, insurance is not meant to enrich, but to replace, to keep you at where you would have been had this incident not occurred. So if you've got a 6-month-old and you are now embarking on getting a life cover, that's why sometimes it's so dangerous to just look at TV at an advert. Oh, life cover, 35-year-old woman.
Guilty navigators.
Will give you 5 million rand premium, 5 million rand life cover at a premium of 350. And then they put their terms and conditions in the finest of prints, right? You can't, when it comes, you need to be intentional about that. So, okay, so 5 million sounds good, but sit with someone who's able to say, this is what informs the 5 million, because 5 million for you might be good, 5 million for someone else doesn't begin to solve the issue. So a life cover is meant to set your legacy, and as much as part of legacy setting is not just leaving money for the children, it's ensuring that the cost of your death is covered, so that your assets and all your acquisitions can safely pass on to your dependents. So now we talk taxes. What would cause my, assets
Your
that
estate.
I've amassed to not pass on to my descendants? There's taxes that are born when I die. capital gains tax, estate duty taxes, executors' fees, all these things. So when I get life cover, this money must come. So we refer to it as estate liquidity, where
Okay.
there needs to be cash in your estate to pay for these. After that, then the balance then passes down to the children, right? So it's not just a simple.
Everybody making money for themselves, taking
the
their
value
portion,
chain.
This is the
and
problem.
then whatever
Is
fraction of
left
it.
over, then it passes down. So that's why it becomes.
Is there
I
enough
didn't know
education though, or is it a matter of us not reading the fine print, or is there? There seems not to be enough education. I'll tell you why. Sometimes you find for something as straightforward as insurance, I've got parents, and our parents have got 3 kids. Now you have these 3 kids insuring the same individuals, right? Come claim stage, you find that you are being declined or rejected by one insurance because they believe that one person is overinsured, right? Whereas there is an understanding when they are making those telesales. They call you and they said, listen, we're not selling you anything. We just want to study your portfolio so that we can advise you whether you are over or underinsured. There is never a time, I've never had a personal experience, Noluntu, where I was overinsured or sufficiently insured. They were either selling me one thing or another. They say, no, will you be happy if your kids go and they only get this amount of money?
Yeah.
Now say that's what you are insured for. Don't you want a little bit more,
Little more.
you know, to safeguard your dignity? Now, the institutions, I liked what you said in the beginning, that they are in the habit of making, but what recourse do we have as far as law is concerned? I know there are ombudsmen, but what other recourse do we have
So
for insufficient education? Does it remain with the consumer?
Yeah. Look, because it's your money, it starts with you, it must end with you. Like,
Yeah.
as it's sadly my responsibility to educate myself around my money and the things that affect my money. And it is a sad reality, especially in the insurance fraternity,
Yeah.
where nje, gomashayana nje, like
Yeah.
and because we understand your fear, it's
Yeah.
easy to then manipulate. No parents wants to leave their
Yo.
children
Without anything.
So I often then say, meet with someone that you can trust, right? So then the education is there, like information is there, but what comes with a lot of information comes misinformation.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
So you want to have a prudent client sit in front of you. Zizo, I've done my research. I know that this is what a life cover is meant to do, and this and this and this and this. But can I have a conversation with you in light of my goals? And
Yeah.
then from there, if your neuro system or your nervous system just... Because you can feel, man, when someone's lying to you, like,
Yeah.
this sounds too good to be true, this.
Yeah.
You know,
This doesn't...
It's not
Yeah.
make sure.
it's not make sure. I walked in there knowing that my immediate need is life cover.
Yeah.
I'm coming out of this being sold credit insurance, or I'm coming out of this being sold a retirement annuity, for argument's sake,
Yeah.
without the proper context,
Yeah.
right? Then the second thing you mentioned, you said, okay, you've never walked away feeling like being told that you are overinsured or sufficiently insured. Statistically, most South Africans are extremely underinsured.
Yo.
That is why extremely
Yeah.
ill-prepared for the death of their children or
Yeah.
whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
So that is why these adverts that are like, okay, no, you can get this 5 million at 500,000, because you thumb suck and you're like, on average, you probably have nowhere near the 5 million. And the likelihood, as soon as you've got a child, one child, 5 million should be really the minimum death cover that you should have. Now, if you've got 2 children and you've got assets and you've got businesses and you've got business partners, that value almost quadruples based on what this thing is supposed to do. So most South Africans are severely underinsured. Those who are sufficiently insured, you might find that the positioning of the portfolio is then incorrect. So I've done this good thing, I've taken out this life cover, but now I've made my 6-year-old the beneficiary. Minors cannot inherit in their own stead. Like, no institution will pay out 5 million or 1 million to a 6-year-old's bank account.
So what do we do then?
That money will end up going to a guardian fund. Then someone will have to be appointed, a family member, because they're going to look, who's the next person responsible? Family member must go to the master's court and apply.
So will it be locked until they reach a state of majority?
Not necessarily.
Or
What
it
will
can
happen
pay
is
for
that
things
the
like their
master
schooling.
of the court-
Uprazekiswa
Oh,
sakayishushayo uzoba ne-access.
Yeah.
Look, they could,
So-
if they're the only responsible adult who can be a guardian. to this
Nominated
child.
by you.
Kalogo, if there's no will, so this is what I was coming to now for strategy.
Okay, will.
Now
okay.
to say and now you've ticked the first one. Now I'm sufficiently insured.
Right.
Now how's my portfolio structured?
Yes.
So now I must look at your life card and be like, okay, this beneficiary. Like we sit there with policies where you had nominated your
Right.
mom 10 years ago, and now your mom's passed on, but you've never updated
You've
your
never updated.
beneficiary nomination, right?
Yeah.
So then the question then becomes, now what do we do? Now
Yeah.
you look at a solution to a need. This is now where will comes into place. Do you have a will? How is your will structured? So every need must be what leads you to the solution.
So you must have the fingers on the pulse. It's not like it will be upon the institution to remind you of what you have to do.
100%.
Not only do people are getting married, people are getting divorced, and the key factor is the finances. Have you been in a situation where I have every noble intention to marry a woman, right? To get myself a
For
very
this one, I'm
lovely
actually going to take a sip of water because
Right. And then there isn't enough money for lobola. There isn't enough money for outfits, food, and everything else, right? What do? I go to a bank and say,
Get a loan.
I'm getting married, so I want to fund my
My
Wedding.
wedding day.
Yes. So what can you give me? Oh, for sure. We're looking for people like you. Come, say, sit down. And then, you're already starting on a back foot. So how can we circumvent that for the youngsters? Not that I'm planning for the youngsters. I
There's
did
nothing
that many
wrong.
years
I'll
ago.
plan with chat. It's fine.
yeah,
I'm asking for a friend. So how do we
I
eliminate
like that.
Because sometimes, apparently, we're not a society that is good on saving. Sorry, my question is becoming long-winded, navigators, but I'm just making an analogy. We're not a society that saves well, right? Sometimes you save because there's an intention to save. You save because you want to get married. You save because you want to buy yourself a German a vehicle. You save because you want to afford a holiday and so on. You don't just save,
100%.
right?
Ideally, you do
Yeah.
get people who
Should we just save? Number one, that's the first
Uh-huh.
question. Without any intention to say, I just have money for the rainy days, right?
A war chest.
Now, let's talk about the marriage part because that's where it started. How can we make sure that we've got that kind of planning? What's your advice? To save 100%?
Look, there's when it comes to financial planning, I don't think there's any unique problem, if I were to say, right?
Okay.
If we were to keep, I keep taking it to the beginning to say, okay, what are your goals? What are your intentions? What are your this? Because if we're talking about money, there's only just one pool of money. The marriage will be born from that. The children will, all of these things, it doesn't matter. Marry,
Yes.
don't marry well, don't marry
Yeah.
well.
From the same fruit
Okusalayo.
tree.
Yeah, but what it will come down to is the money that you've got on hand.
Yeah.
So if you want to marry and you want your wedding to be on top billing, there's a cost to that. So you don't
Yes.
wake up today and decide you want to marry tomorrow. So again,
Yeah.
it comes to your preparation and how well you've prepared for that in your own book, right? The problem we have as a society is keeping up with the Joneses. Instant gratification.
Yeah.
I'm engaged now to my fiance and we went to a friend's wedding 2 months ago and they were in Winelands in Cape Town. I've now changed my idea. I want to top the wedding I went to last month. So actually, I want to move mine to France or whatever the case
Yeah.
might be.
Mauritius, France.
And so if you're going to be that, immature, because it's immaturity really, where you're like, cannot financially afford to go to France,
Yeah.
you know, for a wedding. It's just not within my affordability range.
Yeah.
If you then decide, because I mean, no one's going to turn you down for a loan, because remember again, the banks are in business. Everyone is
They
in
need
business.
that customer.
Do you understand? They need a customer. So if you, and they will thrive and profit off of your foolishness, because frankly, it's just being foolish, you know. So
Don't let good crisis go to waste.
do you understand?
Yeah.
I mean, I came across one client who had been divorced, call it for, let's say, a year, and they'd been married for like 2 years, let's say. They were still paying off the wedding ring.
All right. Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
They were married for a year.
They were married for about 2 years.
For
Now
2
they've been
years.
divorced for a year. They
But
are
they're
still paying off
for the wedding ring.
the wedding ring that he had proposed.
That's how
with.
expensive
Oh.
it was. Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Why?
You know.
Why do you want to carry debt into a union, right? So, I mean, one of the drivers of marriage, I believe, is finances. Like it's a contentious point when it comes to marriage, you know. I remember years ago, my parents will remind me of this. I don't remember saying it, so I've always been a little financial. I just don't like. I like
your thing.
It's my thing, and I think I was born with it, right? Because I'm done by tight
but
with no reason, you know. Let me be tight, knowing my money is sitting there and this one's
By your
sitting
own
there.
admission, your father was
Yeah,
that
right?
kind of guy. Yeah.
So now I think they were going through something where, because my mom was like, yo, like if we ask for the littlest thing, lollipop or whatever the case might be. So apparently I said to my parents, like, Mommy, you know, you and Dad must come right now, because when poverty comes knocking at the door, love flies out through the window. And my mom is like, it stopped us in our tracks. Like, we looked at each other with your dad and we're like, did maybe an angel just speak through our daughter? But in all honesty,
That's
it's a
true, though.
reality.
That's very true.
We will sit by ourselves. The fact that I can't afford a bottle of the wine that I like to have, it makes me cranky. So now you can imagine if me and my husband, two brains are sitting together, we can't piece together a little trip to go to cleanse up our kids for an afternoon.
Yeah.
I can't imagine any household that will thrive in that. So the question begs, why do you then make decisions, temporary decisions that affect your long-term livelihood?
Yeah.
And there's no financial person who'll be able to say no on your behalf.
Yeah.
You want to take out 500,000 rand. This is now where those numbers come into play, right?
Yeah.
Because now, because the information is there, I know what I need to do to extend my line of credit.
Okay.
I need to just work on my credit score for the next 3 months. I'll look at it again. It's jumped up by 20 points. All of a sudden, before I could be loaned out 100,000, now I qualify for 350. So we know the things we ought to do. It's a matter of just doing them. And there's no one who's going to come and, like, I can't overemphasize enough. Like, no one's coming to save you. Maybe that's we must start this conversation. No one's going to come and plan for your children's livelihood. No one's going to come and help you save for a trip to Italy. No one's going to come and... It's all entirely up to you. Speak to the relevant people. Have open and honest conversations. And then from there, then we can charter out a plan, you know. Zizo, I know I'm over indebted. Okay, let me look at your bank statement. I see you wena, though you are able to be at Azuro every week, twice a week. What's happening there? No, my mental health needs that. Really?
It's a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism. Okay. Well, then why is the indebtedness a problem then? Yeah, no, it's affecting the same mental health.
Wow.
Because we can lie to ourselves as people, eh? Like, we will do whatever it takes to justify whatever decision we want to take.
I'll start with you, Noluntu. I'll ask you guys the same question. Obviously, Zizo's answer will be more nuanced and educating. So, do you think we are a financially literate country? Speaking for yourself?
No, I speak for myself, and I speak for a few people I know. We are not. We really, when it comes to finances.
So what initiative can you take as a consumer to educate yourself?
I think from this talk, Weza,
Yeah.
from this talk alone, I think I was saying off camera that
Yeah.
there's just so much that for me it has been an eye opener.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my financial situation and I'm looking at the things that I want. I'm looking at the ventures that I want to go into, and I'm like, yo, actually, step one, I need to do a reset, like a hard reset button, because then it means the way I've been thinking, the way I've been not stewarding, carelessly spending my money, and where I spend my money rather than save my money and put it somewhere. You know, these are the things, and I'm not talking about when you are in survival mode, because there are months where we are in survival mode, and there are months where
Hand to mouth.
and there are months where I call them everyone in a year, you will either have 2 or 3 months of that where there's just money there's just an ease of money or a flow of money. Then the question is, what do we do when there's that flow of money? Do you buy the latest iPhone? Or do you take that money and say, okay, and if I go 30 days, let me put it towards something else that would help me in the goals. Landus is debated. I actually sat here and I'm like, I think I've been quiet for a while. I'm thinking, and in a strategy. What did Leland telling us a strategy? Like it's for me, navigators, it's like light bulb.
It's a light bulb moment.
Light bulb
indeed.
moments.
I think there's a whole lot of work we need to do.
Yes.
Professionals, businessmen, businesswomen, young professionals who are starting out, students, little ones, everyone. We just need a changed behavior towards our finances. They say our finances will eventually take care of you. So if you don't take care of them, there will be disaster. What can we do about our situation then, Zizo? Now that you're aware of what people who literally are potentially your clients and belong to the market that you're trying to service, what more?
I think you've spoken to it when you've touched on it, that it's a matter of looking at our behaviors and readjusting, right? And speaking to the relevant people, you know. So I've got a financial advisor, Nolondu, and they've helped me in this. You know, perhaps try this person out. But we can't get to that point until we have these unearthing conversations.
Right.
My life game now is made up of unearthing. Like I will sit and I'll just be like, okay, well, when you die, like I'm very clinical in my approach. I don't mind having the hard conversations, right? Because I'm neutral to the feeling. So I'm able to empathize that this is where we are as society. But once you sit in front of me, I assume you are wanting to do better and get the relevant knowledge.
So embarrassing.
It is.
When you look at your behavior reflecting on the bank statement.
You understand.
At least as not tops.
But at least look, even if they had it tops, now I'm not one of this way or this way or this way is better than this way, and no,
not
like
linear.
You've only got this one life. Truly, it's your responsibility to make the most of it. And if tops is part of what helps you to be whole and well, let's do that, as long as the tops doesn't cost you your future. Because we're holding two realities. We're holding the present and we're holding the future. So how do I get my present to not compromise my future? It then comes into those habits. So there'll be seasons where I can't get the top of the barrel bottle of wine. I enjoy my wine. Like, you know, any diet where if I'm speaking to my coach and they're like, oh no, this season that plan is not for me. I'm not gonna stick to it, right? So it's important that you know yourself. Like, so if you come and Zizo's like, okay, this strategy, this 6 months, we're tying down the zero wine, let's say. That is not going to work for me. I will keep defaulting. So any plan needs to align and make room for Unolondu Ndiayazi. Within the next 6 months, Nolondu is probably going to need her drive-by Woolworths. What do we do? Let's create a kitty for the Woolworths fund. So if you go every week, let's go every second week. Now you're changing your behavior, you know. In the week that you don't go, how much would you have used? How much would you have spent? Had you gone last week to Woolworths, how much would you have spent? Oh, nothing less than 600. Let's take what you would have spent. Let's put it towards an extra payment on your credit card.
I get it.
And so you keep doing, so it doesn't need to be this
you must always,
elephant. You
self-review is very important.
Self-review.
Zizo, thank you very much for your eloquent ABC kind of explanation of the finances. Thank you for making us alive and alert to some of the behaviors that oppose our path to a desired destiny. Nolondu, thank you very much for assisting me in mining this information out of our expert here, Uzizo. Ladies and gentlemen, that was it from us. I think we need to really start doing and choosing better for ourselves.
100%.
It does help because we are meant to have stewardship over money, not the other way around. More often than not, our behavior is controlled by lack of money, too much money, but we are not in full possession of our faculties to direct what our money must do for us. It should be that way. Can we go back to the greatness of the discipline of saving? Our forefathers could do it, and generations that followed subsequently. Let us avoid the culture of eating everything we have and putting our eggs in one basket, the culture of social media that urges us to actually splash and be wasteful of our resources. It's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching.